Hello Giants fans, welcome to Giants Baseball 101. I'm Gabe Vaughn, your host. When I have questions, I take them first, and I got one for today. Thank you for posting it in the comments. Do you think that the Giants will ever get Madison Bumgarner back? Thank you, that is a good question. Bumgarner has been a part of 3 World Series championships for the Giants in 2010, 2012, and 2014. He's been a big part of their postseason success, too. He's got to be one of the best postseason pitchers in just a long time. His name is really going to stand out. In 2014, what was most impressive, I think, was his 5-inning save in Game 7. This was on 2 days rest since making his last start. How often do you see that? Well, all pitchers, at least a lot of the good ones, are expected to go beyond their normal limits in the postseason, but Bumgarner, that's just crazy what he did there. But after the 2019 season, his contract expired, he became a free agent, and he said after the final game where he was on the Giants roster, he said he was sure that somehow he'd end up with the Giants again at some point, whether in free agency, a trade, or whatever. He said he thought somehow he'd be back in San Francisco again at some point. And, no one could be sure of that, but I think it's just a feeling that Bumgarner had there. But in that offseason, the Giants strongly considered the possibility of bringing him back for a long time. In fact, I think kind of deep into the preparation for the 2020 spring training. But ultimately, they decided not to do it. Bumgarner signed with the Diamondbacks, 5 years, $85 million. And you kind of have to wonder why, why didn't the Giants put a more aggressive effort into it? Well, undoubtedly they were concerned about whether Bumgarner's performance would be the way they were expecting it to, because he had been on some kind of a decline. In 2018, his ERA, in the time he did play for the Giants in 2018, he spent a lot of the first half on the injured list, but when he came back in 2018, his ERA for the year was .326, which is a good number, but I just don't remember Bumgarner's 28 season as being anything like that. I think just the way the runs he allowed were distributed, I remember quite a few bad starts, just less than effective starts from Bumgarner in 2018. So I think it has something to do with just the distribution of runs. That does not stand out to me as a good season, and I was unimpressed after the 2018 season with Bumgarner's performance for that year. And in 2019, Bumgarner was pretty bad in the first couple of months or so. And that was a big reason why the Giants couldn't get it done in the first half of 2019, because Bumgarner, their supposed ace, just wasn't doing it. Not the only reason, but one of them. But in the second half of 2019, Bumgarner rebounded, pitched very well for them, and it got to the point where at the trade deadline, I was actually scared the Giants would trade him. I mean, I wouldn't mind the Giants trading someone if he wasn't performing and was heading into free agency, but Bumgarner had turned it around by the trade deadline to the point where I actually felt, the way I'm sure pretty much all Giants fans did, that we needed him for a postseason run that year. Because of the Giants' hot month of July, they had a chance to make the postseason in 2019, and Farhan Zaidi agreed by not trading Bumgarner, keeping him on the roster. Bumgarner continued to pitch well, but the Giants, and he didn't add any new players, really, except Scooter Gennett. I've talked about that. Don't believe he was enough. Giants fell out of the wild card race that year. But the key thing here is Bumgarner's improvement. Still, the decline that he was on it would play a factor for the Giants team heading into the offseason. You're looking at a pitcher who's wanting to sign a big contract, and the Giants, they had to take a look at that, and I think ultimately they decided that the risk of underperformance from him wasn't worth it. And they were right, apparently. If you look at how Bumgarner performed with the Diamondbacks after signing with them, his ERA in the shortened 2020 season was over 600. The time he was there, I think he spent some of it on the injured list. Shortened season, some of it on the injured list, so not that much to draw from, but he did not pitch well. That year, 2021, his ERA was over 400. This year, his ERA is over 400. So he's certainly not throwing like an ace anymore. And that, to me, justifies the Giants' concerns about underperformance from Bumgarner. And if we're thinking the right way, I'm really not wishing that the Giants had re-signed Bumgarner, because he looks like he's either past his prime or just having a few not super good years, at least not good for a former ace pitcher. And he would not have been what the Giants had expected, apparently, because he's not making a real big impression with the Diamondbacks right now. But veterans have resurged and rebounded before, and that could happen with Bumgarner too. Buster Posey and Brandon Crawford both rebounded from what seems to be the end of their prime. Things like that were the key to the Giants' success in 2021. And maybe the Giants, after Bumgarner hits free agency, which I believe will be after 2024, I don't think he has a club option or anything, they could decide to re-sign him. I think the answer is going to be wait and see. Still, you know, if you ask, is Bumgarner going to specifically want to come back to the Giants, I will just point out that the team's changing from what it was when he was on it. And it's fewer and fewer players from the 2014 championship that are there. Brandon Crawford and Brandon Belt are the only two Giants that are still on the team that were a member of even the last postseason run for them in 2016. So the team's changing. There's probably going to be less and less of a reason for Bumgarner to really want to be back with the Giants, but we'll see. We still don't know. We don't know what Bumgarner will do. It is possible that they'll reunite with him on, say, a one-year deal. It's just there's a lot that's unknown right now. So I don't think that's going to be a big priority for Bumgarner to come back, and for the Giants, probably not either, especially the way he's performing now. But we don't know what the future holds, so I would say the real answer to that is that we have to wait and see. Now, as for the game today, the Giants beat the Rockies 5-2 at Oracle Park. Jock Peterson had a home run and a triple. J.D. Davis also had a home run, and Tyro Estrada had an RBI single. Logan Webb went 5 innings, and Tyler Rogers then pitched 2 innings out of the bullpen, the 6th and the 7th. Scott Alexander pitched the 8th. Camilo Doval pitched the 9th. So excellent hitting and excellent offense for the Giants. Won it today against the Rockies, so pretty neat game. Thank you for watching this video. This has been Giants Baseball 101. Please subscribe if you have not. Also, please comment on the videos, ask any questions you've got, and I'll see you next time on Giants Baseball 101.